for January 15th. The House of Representatives voted Wednesday to overturn President Obama's executive actions on immigration, also overturning a 2012 directive that safeguarded immigrants who illegally came to the United States as children. The vote passed by a margin of 236 to 191 votes. Speaker of the House John Boehner praised Republicans, saying, quote, "Let me thank all my colleagues who have worked to put this bill together. Today I rise, and the House rises, to support and defend our Constitution." Congressional Democrats were highly critical of the bill, and New York Congressman Steve Israel said it was an overtly political move. The immigration measure is an amendment to the Department of Homeland Security's funding legislation, which provides $40 billion to fund the Department of Homeland Security until September, and includes spending for cybersecurity operations and the Secret Service. President Obama has vowed to veto the bill if it passes the Senate and reaches his desk. The FBI has arrested an Ohio man for allegedly plotting an attack on the United States Capitol. The man, reportedly inspired by the Islamic State, hoped to detonate a series of explosives targeted at specific lawmakers. The suspect, Christopher Lee Cornell, is also known as Raheel Maras Ubdeya, and was arrested Wednesday on charges of attempting to kill a U.S. government official. Cornell also planned to shoot bystanders and officials in Washington, D.C., and his arrest comes the same week as another man was indicted over alleged threats to poison and murder Speaker of the House John Boehner. Broadband for America is challenging President Obama's latest push for accessible and affordable Internet for all, saying in a statement that President Obama is, quote, "risking the success we have witnessed by pushing for a reclassification of broadband as a Title II public utility." Broadband for America is challenging President Obama's latest push for accessible and affordable Internet for all as part of the net neutrality program, saying in a statement that President Obama is risking the success we have witnessed by pushing for a reclassification of broadband as a Title II public utility. Broadband for America says reclassifying broadband as a Title II utility would mirror Europe's failed overregulated utility-style model, resulting in less investment, less innovation, slower Internet speeds, and higher prices. A Progressive Policy Institute study shows, for example, Iowans would face nearly $50 in annual new wireline fees and over $50 annually in new broadband fees. In a speech on the issue, Obama mentioned executive action, indicating he may intend to bypass the legislative branch and make net neutrality law by executive order or memo. Senator Ted Cruz is the newly appointed chair of the Subcommittee on Space, Science, and Competitiveness, and a press release by the senator has called for a refocus of investment on the hard sciences and not, quote, political distractions that are extraneous to NASA's mandate. The press release also called for the U.S. to work with and lead international partners in space exploration, and that the subcommittee will take up reauthorization of the Commercial Space Launch Act to foster an atmosphere of innovation and competition as one of its first orders of business. This has been Amy Curtis with your Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for January 15th.
With Mike Miller and Michael Hausum. Mike, I don't know if you realize this, but the conservative revolution or potential revolution in the Senate almost came to a dead stop yesterday if it wasn't for Twitter. Did you know about this?
I did not know about that.
Okay, this is huge, big deal. One of the things... it's really the measure of someone's character by which you judge a man.
Should be that way all the time. Yeah.
All the time. What's that?
Should be that way all the time.
That absolutely is. And if let's just posit a person, whatever they might be, and let's presume that you have a high opinion of that person. Maybe you don't agree with 10% of all their stuff.
Sure.
Like, because they're a human being and you're a human being. So,
real quick, there are people with who I am diametrically opposed from A to Z from a political perspective, but I admire the hell out of them because they're honest So yeah, exactly.
Right. So then you read about it in the newspapers, or you hear about it around town through the grapevine. Somebody in whom you had some level of confidence, respect, or whatever. Everybody has stories that something comes out about them. They have in their past, they have got a skeleton, that there's something that they have been actively involved in or were actively involved in, that it forces you to re-examine every single other thing that you had any idea about them.
Well, and see human being, because that's true about all of us.
Yes, that's exactly right. And like one thing that comes to mind, oh gosh, I just had an example that came to mind. Oh, well, Bill Clinton, for example. When I found out that Bill Clinton actually, was unfaithful to his wife, it really...
That's kind of the understatement of the show.
Apparently it didn't mean anything, and it just happened that one time. Well, going on, Dan just said that he could never run for office via Twitter. That's hilarious.
Ask him if there's a red dress in the background, because, I mean, even if so...
blue dress, and was it so?
Blue dress. No, it's blue dress. You're right. Anyway.
Biological material deposited on it. Sorry. Anyway, so one of the leading conservatives, turns out yesterday, BuzzFeed and then Talking Point Memo pushed out the story. Turns out that Ted Cruz, man, shocking. Do you know the details?
I do not, man. I await with bated breath, though.
Yeah. In 1987, he was pulled over in Texas with an unopened case of beer in his car.
Oh my God! Oh my God, dude!
Possession of alcohol as a minor.
Oh man. Well, it obviously disqualifies him from anything in the future, higher office. In fact, I think we should call for his resignation right now.
Yeah, he had to turn in 11 pages of documents when he was appointed Solicitor General for the state of Texas a dozen years ago. Obviously, underage drinking is a thing. Rampant alcohol use among minors is a thing.
Sure.
However, 1987, he's a minor, gets pulled over with a case of beer.
You can't make it up, brother.
The Twitter responses are so awesome.
Let's hear a few of them.
One of them is a guy put a picture, and it's a picture. There's two pictures. One is of a guy yawning, and then one right next to it is one of those pictures of a atom bomb test in the Pacific with a cloud.
Yes.
Another one is just a picture of Barry smoking a joint.
That's good.
Another one is Ted Cruz standing with a Jamaican guy.
I love Twitter, dude.
Also, his first name is Raphael.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Go ahead. You have a couple more?
No, those are the best ones, man.
So, I wonder if Ted Kennedy had an open case of beer in the car when he drowned Mary Jo Kopechne, Chappaquiddick. Do you think that might have forced him to resign from the Senate?
Okay, very different things here. Very different things talking about Ted Cruz and Ted Kennedy.
Well, but they're both Teds, dude.
Yes, but it's Theodore Kennedy, whereas we just now learned it's Raphael Ted Cruz.
Well, see, therein lies again. This is what's wrong with the liberals who have their heads up their ass. Ted was Theodore, and this Ted is Raphael. This is clearly racial discrimination against one Ted versus the other.
Yeah, and another thing, I mean, BuzzFeed is going back, pulling stuff out from the year that I graduated from high school. And
Right.
that's important because Ted is wrong on most issues.
Of course.
Whereas Ted Kennedy was right on most
Well,
issues.
see, there you go. So that's
So
why.
there's a standard differential that must be understood before you could apply any sort of objective criterion of evaluation between the two, Mike.
You know, that's an excellent point because you and I occasionally, we declare, our race, our why am I having brain failure about that? Our sexual preference, and our gender. And I think that you bring up an excellent point because I think that clearly here, if you identify your political persuasion, then that has probably as much sway, if not more.
Yeah, that absolutely does. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been arrested in an alcohol-related event? I have not.
I have not either.
Oh, Jessica?
You need not answer. You can say I plead the fifth if you'd like.
No, I've never been arrested or anything like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, you've never been arrested for anything?
Howsam,
No.
have you ever been arrested for anything?
I have not.
Yeah.
Have you?
No. Well, I mean, I did knock off a liquor store, but that was like in 1987, so that doesn't make any difference. No,
No. That wasn't the question. The question wasn't, have you done anything worthy of being arrested? Because I'm going to go with a big fat, I assume so. The
Well, that's a
question,
good point. Yes. Okay.
have you actually ever been arrested?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I won't ask you if you've ever done anything that was worthy of being arrested.
Well, I mean, other than copious amounts of drugs in college. When I say drugs, let me clarify that. Marijuana. I mean, of course, I went to college, in the, I was going to say the 1800s, but I don't think marijuana was prevalent on college campi in the 1800s. But yeah, I mean, we smoked copious amounts of marijuana. Dude, I did do LSD one time in college.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, was it awesome?
It was so awesome that, and let me back up the bus a little bit, okay? I was a guy, like, I didn't even really drink in high school. I mean, a couple of beers here and there, friends. But no, I mean, a perfect student, didn't smoke pot, anything. So I go to college. Did it happen in the first year? I don't think it happened in my freshman year, but by my sophomore year, I was in a different dorm. And dude, I mean, we smoke marijuana every day. So here I find myself, year and a half, 2 years removed from high school, where I was actually a pretty good kid, played sports, popular and all that kind of stuff. I find myself doing LSD, right? Acid, less than 2 years later. It was not only awesome, but not all I could think about, but I kept thinking throughout the whole trip, as they say, which lasted, dude, how long did it last? At least, oh, crap, maybe 12 hours. I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to do this every day for the rest of my life. That's how awesome it was. Yeah, that's how awesome it was, and proudly, I never did it again.
Oh my gosh! Well, I have a buddy that he did a lot of drugs in college as well,
Right.
and he tells a story about driving home about 3 hours into a trip,
Right.
and he got to a train crossing.
Yeah.
And the train crossed in front of him, and he was really concerned. I mean, he was tripping really hard. Got really concerned about making it home while tripping like that because cars were smiling at his cars were smiling at him and all that kind of thing. So he gets to the train station, and he said he sat there, and the train started going past, and he started watching the story that the train cars were telling him. And he said that he realized later that between when he knew he left the party and when his dad got pissed